So let's talk about the critical timeline and program implementation. Those are two really important things. So I'm going to go back to that description of SSEP that I just finished, and I'm going to pull out the baseline milestone dates and give that to you. By the way, let me just say for the record that everything I'm talking about today is on the website, and we're going to go over the navigation of the website later. But for instance, with regard to the timeline, there is a dedicated critical timeline page for Mission 21 with all of the bulleted dates and milestones and deadlines. But let me give you the 30,000 foot version of those dates and milestones. Program operations officially started yesterday, September 2nd. And what does that mean? It means that a 9-week clock started ticking yesterday. And in that 9 weeks, you have to come up to speed on microgravity experiment design via the web navigation that I'm going to show you later. And you have to design as teams your science experiments, and you have to write your proposals and submit the proposals. So the proposals are due early November. I believe it's November 4th. At that point, your step one review board gets the proposals and reviews them and grades them, selects the 3 finalists. Those finalists are sent to us. The national step 2 review board selects your flight experiment from your 3 finalists, and that selection is done by December 19th, which means Tulane can put out a big press release just before the holidays. Then your flight team will have 2 months to optimize their experiment, and at that point, the list of fluids and solids goes to toxicology at Johnson Space Center for 4 months of flight safety review, which means the earliest the launch can take place just based on the toxicology timeline is June 10th of 2026. There may not be a rocket where we can manifest the payload at that point. So that's the earliest it can launch based on the toxicology requirement of 4 months of flight safety review. So does everybody understand the timeline for this program? Okay, now with regard to implementation, and Cindy, you can help me here because I think I remember this, but I'm not sure. I think the way that you at Tulane did this is you cast a wide net across multiple departments, and whoever's interested, hopefully many of them are on this Zoom right now. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And I think that we have students spanning the School of Architecture, School of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, and School of Science and Engineering. So we have a very broad spectrum of students, and all who sent in a short blurb are on the call now.
Okay, that's wonderful. So given I now know how this is being implemented in a broad way across Tulane, let me put some flesh on the bones. So every one of your teams needs a faculty advisor. Now let me explain what that means. At the pre-college level, at the high school level, for instance, a teacher will deliver the curriculum to the entire class, and they become the teacher facilitator. But there's no reason why this has to be done as in-class time at the undergraduate level, because as I said before, we're viewing you as self-directed learners, so you can come up to speed on the microgravity curriculum yourself. That said, a faculty advisor is there as a resource for you in the sense that they are experts in experiment design. They are experts in writing and submitting proposals. They are go-to people for just generic understanding of how this is done. Also, you may have questions about where resources are on the website, and you certainly can ask a faculty advisor. But I should also tell you that we have your backs too. So we have a flight operations team here. And you'll see later that I'm going to show you a contact page where if you have questions about experiment design or proposal writing, you can submit a question via the contact button, the contact page, and that automatically gets sent to all of the flight operations team staff members, and they'll know who has to answer that question. And we try to turn the questions around in less than 24 hours, answers to the questions. So your researcher advisor is sort of like there as a general, Your faculty advisor is there as a general resource for you to help give you guidance on experiment design and proposal writing, and we're there also to answer questions for you. But every team, besides a faculty advisor, also needs a researcher advisor. Let me give you the distinction between those two. As soon as you understand what the focus of your experiment is, what the disciplinary focus of your experiment is, you must get a researcher advisor who is an expert in that discipline, because you're going to have lots of really deep and profound questions as you dig into your experiment, and you need somebody to go to who is an expert in that disciplinary area. Does everybody understand that so far? Okay, so here's the way that it can work at a university. You might have a faculty advisor who's also a researcher in a certain area, a certain disciplinary landscape. And if that faculty advisor says to you, hey, this is my general area of expertise in research, if you come up with an experiment in this playground of mine, I can be your faculty advisor and your researcher advisor because I'm an expert in this area. Does everybody understand what I just said there? Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So one of your professors could serve as your researcher advisor, kind of generic expertise, as well. I'm sorry. One of your professors can serve as a faculty advisor for generic expertise, and also serve as your researcher advisor for very specific expertise in the focus of your experiment. Yep. Now, let me just say, though, that you may come up with an experiment where your faculty advisor is not an expert in that discipline. And if that's the case, the way that you get a researcher advisor is using Google Scholars Search. So if you've never heard of Google Scholar Search before, it is a search engine for scholarly publications. So let's say you want to look at planaria worm regeneration in microgravity. Oh, well, that sounds cool. How do planaria worms regenerate in microgravity? You need a planaria worm regeneration expert as a researcher advisor. So you go to Google Scholar Search and you put planaria worm regeneration in the search box, and what will be returned are scholarly peer-reviewed articles representing the state-of-the-art human understanding in planaria worm regeneration. And if you go to the top of page 1 of those articles, of those papers, on the top will be listed all of the authors and their host institutions. So if Dr. Jane Smith is a planaria worm regeneration expert, a co-author on a paper, and you see that she's at Harvard by looking at page 1 at the top of that paper, you go to the Harvard website, you go to the staff directory, you get Dr. Jane Smith's email address, and you send a really nice email to Dr. Smith telling her what you're doing and asking if she can be a researcher advisor. And if you generate a template email and you send it to 20 possible researcher advisors, all you need is one to say yes. And Google Scholar Search and what I just talked about is on one of the pages on the website called the Two Teachers How to Move Forward page. So does everybody understand how that works? Does anybody have any questions about either the critical timeline or program implementation? Any comments? Everything's clear?
I have
So
a
far, so
question.
good? Cool. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to.
You have a question from Idris.
Oh,
I have
yes.
a
What's the question?
We have a maximum of 2 advisors, no more than 2. Just
Yeah. And so, and where is this question coming from?
it was
Oh,
about
I see. Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, you've got. So let me say it this way. One professor can be a faculty advisor to more than one team. Okay, that's one thing that's important. The second part is a faculty advisor, again, provides generic expertise in experiment design and proposal writing. But you also need a researcher advisor who's an expert in your experiment discipline. The faculty advisor and the researcher advisor could be the same person if your experiment is operating in the playground of that professor. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. So let me go ahead and,
Oh,
all right, let me start. Okay, it's
So-
recording again. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm driving, so I can't use video.
Yeah.
So I'm one of the faculty advisors, and so you've mentioned that students should use Google Scholar for finding a research advisor if the faculty advisor isn't an expert in that area. Is it allowed or appropriate for the faculty member to recommend people that the students contact?
Oh, absolutely. That's great.
Okay, great. And then the second question I had, is there any restriction on who can be the research advisor? Like, does it have to be a professor, or could it be like a postdoc or a very senior grad student?
I think you hit it right. It's like, it's not a graduate student, it's a senior graduate student that's already engaged in research. So
But that
yeah,
would be okay. Like, it doesn't have to be the PI of the lab.
no. You want an expert, so somebody who's really dug into that discipline at a deep enough level where questions from the student teams can be answered accurately, and appropriately. Is that good, Daniel?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. It makes sense, because I was just skeptical if it had to be like the PI of a lab that we would get enough research advisors. But if it's postdocs and senior grad students, then it shouldn't be a problem at all.
Cool. Sounds good. All right, let's try this. Any other questions, by the way? No questions.